lovely ladies and handsome gents, back to talk to the hand reviews. I'm Bo the Reviews Lady. Hey, Bo the Reviews Lady. Anyways, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today I have a very special fragrance to talk about. Bluegrass from Elizabeth Arden. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Do you know this fragrance? No? Now you know. This one is, there's so much about it to know actually. It's one of the oldest fragrances around and still available. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. It's very special to me personally. So this fragrance called Bluegrass by Elizabeth Arden, it was created in 1936. It's considered a floral green. I highly agree with that. And there was no nose given for who the person was who actually created the fragrance. So Elizabeth Arden was, she lived from, December 31st, 1881 to October 18th, 1966. And she was born Florence Nightingale Graham. That was her actual name, Florence Nightingale Graham. And she changed it to Elizabeth Arden, I believe because it seemed like an easy name, just easy names to remember, to grasp. And then she was not, unlike a lot of the designer fragrances that we've experienced throughout the last 100 years or so, were created by designers, like fashion designers and costume designers. But Elizabeth Arden was a person who was really into skincare and makeup, and she started opening salons, and she became famous for her salons. And she had her famous salon was called Red Door. And I think they still exist quite a bit. So that was her thing. And so when Elizabeth Arden decided she wanted a fragrance, see that? Kind of like a little relief of a little embossed horse. That was because Elizabeth Arden had a farm in Kentucky in an area known as the Bluegrass area. And they're really known for, I guess, breeding horses. And she was a person who was a real horse lover. And she wanted to put a horse picture on the fragrance. And her sales staff, her sales team said, no, people are not going to go for a horsey perfume. A horsey perfume. But she said, no, I think I want to do it this way anyhow. And so, it ended up being, it's considered now, it did really well. It did extremely well, Bluegrass. And it actually is known as the first American perfume. It became known as the first American perfume, because prior to that, I think most of the fragrances that people learned about were mostly from France, I believe. So that gives it a really special distinction, I think. Now the fragrance itself, what's it smell like? Okay. According to Fragrantica, 134 people felt it smells like Reviens by Worth. And I have to say, I do not agree, but I love Je Reviens by Worth. I love it. It's one of my very favorite fragrances. And I really love bluegrass too. That's what people thought though. I would say it's got a similar vibe. I would say that. Number 2, 6 people felt it was like Opium by YSL. What? It's nothing like Opium by YSL, but I guess when there aren't a lot of fragrances around that smell like a particular fragrance, you're going to get all these different, kind of smells a little like this, or, you know, kind of smells a little like that. Number 3, 4 people felt it smelled like Papagayo, 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 by Milton Lloyd. And number 4 is Garofano Carnation from Santa Maria Novella. I don't know if it smells like it, but I get a lot of carnation from this fragrance. So it might smell a lot like it. I would say, you know, to me, what this fragrance smells most like is Caron's Bellodgia, which is also an extremely carnation-y fragrance. And number 5, 3 people tied with number 4. That just smelled like Anaiis by Cacharel. Come on, it does not. I'm sorry about this list. I don't really agree with any of it, which is unusual because usually it's really spot on. Usually what people say it smells like. I go there sometimes to confirm what I think. I think this fragrance kind of smells like this fragrance. I'll go, sure enough, it's almost always there. Not always. So my thoughts on this fragrance are, it smells, my feelings about this fragrance are, that's my feelings. It smells good. It smells so good. I want to spray it everywhere. It smells like spicy innocence. Spicy innocence. It reminds me of an old, actually, Avon, when I was like young, like a kid or a young teenager, I remember taking a bubble bath with some Avon bubble bath that smelled a lot like this. What stands out about it? Spiciness, carnation. Any age can wear it, but I think people would suggest it's for a younger person. But because it is such an old fragrance, young people don't really know about it, and when they know how old it is, they kind of think, oh well, isn't that for like my grandma or my great grandma? You know, isn't that for somebody that old? I'll tell you, I have actually a special memory of bluegrass. Was my first cosmetics job. Another spray for you. Here you go. Dance break. Okay, so my first cosmetics job, when I first started working in cosmetics, I was 19 years old, and I worked behind the counter for this company called Ultima 2, which was upscale Revlon in a department store. And we shared a bay, which is what we used to call those counter spaces that at the cosmetics counter, you know what I mean. I don't have to tell you what those are, but and on the other side of the bay, we shared a bay with Elizabeth Arden. So there were 2 of us working for Ultima 2 and 2 people working for Elizabeth Arden. However, Elizabeth Arden or Ultima 2, they weren't always 100% covered. So sometimes, I got the bluegrass blues, yeah, bluegrass blues, baby. I'm sorry. Okay, so I had to help customers with bluegrass because at this time in the 80s, they were still selling it at the counter, behind the counter. They might still be, but it was quite a bit more expensive at the time. And I smelled it, and I had to like open up. The lady who worked there, she had to open up one because they didn't even give you a tester. It was so rare that people would come in and buy the fragrance. But the very mostly elderly clientele that Elizabeth Arden had. A lot of elderly clientele, because it's an old company, would come and buy it like at Christmas. So it was that kind of fragrance. It was like, I know that this, I want to say it's kind of a legacy fragrance, you know, in that way that it's been around for so long. So I had to help people with the fragrance, and I remember smelling it and really liking it. But at the time, I wasn't really buying a lot of fragrance for myself. I mean, to be honest with you, we weren't like rolling in Skrilla back then, working in cosmetics and fragrance. You know, I mean, we were making money, but it wasn't like, you know, enough to buy all the fragrance we wanted to. But we got a lot for free. I never got a bottle of this for free. I never owned a bottle till I bought this bottle recently. And what I want to tell you about it is that based on what I remember, oh, it was reformulated. I think did I write it? Oh, I didn't tell you what the blue grass is. It's called POA, P-O-A grass. It's a cool season grass, and it's got blue flowers on it. The blue flowered POA grass. Yeah. So it is actually, the name has a lot of significance, which I never knew. So yeah, when I worked behind the counter, it was one of those early ones, and we got a lot of fragrance for free, and I never bought it until now. So based on my memory, which I never smelled it until after it had been reformulated. I read that it had been reformulated, I want to say sometime in the 60s, but I'm probably wrong about that. I'm sorry. I thought I wrote it down. I surprised myself. But I want to tell you that, so I would have never smelled it before whenever that reformulation happened. So, but I want to tell you that this, to my this smells just like it used to. It smells just like it used to. And it's so affordable. It's so affordable. So this is one of those fragrances. It's a spicy carnation is basically what it smells like. And I really love it. I love it. I think despite the fact that it is an old legacy fragrance, sort of. I would call it legacy fragrance. I mean, I made that up, so it doesn't really mean anything. In spite of it being such a classic fragrance, I think young people, young girls or guys, mostly young girls, would really like it. I think it's just one of those very youthful smelling fragrances. But that's it, any age. And if you wanted to wear it as a shared fragrance, as a unisex fragrance, you could do that too. If you like spicy carnations, why not? You know, do what you want. Queen Elizabeth II wore it. Good enough for a queen, honey. And something else I think personally is kind of cool. Elizabeth Arden marched for women's rights in 1912. She marched for women's rights in 1912. My review is over. I hope you have an awesome week, an awesome day. I hope that something so great happens for you today, that it changes your life for the better. I really wish that for you. And if you want to be happier and feel uplifted, I don't think that you would go wrong by buying yourself a bottle of this bluegrass. It's darn good stuff. So, I wish you a fabulous day, week, year, life. And I'm going to say goodbye. But I hope you get to try bluegrass. Bye!